Good day, Kennedale. This is Jeff Navarez with Kennedale News, and I'm up here on location at the Kennedale High School Media Center. What a great place this is to do a quick interview with Superintendent Chad Gee about next year's changes to the school system. How's it going, Chad?
It's going well. I appreciate you, doing this interview with me and just trying to get some information out to our stakeholders. So.
Well, thanks for having me. The last time we spoke was actually about this subject, the upcoming changes. We were doing those meets at the junior high where I got this really cool T-shirt from.
Well, actually, we had two different sessions. That was our vision, mission, and beliefs where we laid that all out. You were part of that. We probably had about 45, 50 different community members that were part of that. And then we transitioned into our future planning and development committees, and we had, I think, 4 meetings over a span of time with that. So, we've had quite a few meetings leading up to where we are now. So
sure, and it's where we left off was the decision. Which decision did we go through, A, B, or C?
Oh, I don't even remember. I think we were in D, E, and F.
Yeah,
so it's like it's done. But what we decided was to sit there and keep our 2 elementaries, but we're going to keep them 2nd grade through 5th grade. We're going to move 5th grade down to the elementaries. We're going to move 6th grade to the junior high school, which that was always part of the plan, and then we're going to move pre-K through 1st grade to what is Early Childhood Center, which is now Arthur.
So at this point, though, the trustees have made the decision. This is it. This is the path that laid forward.
We've hired architects. Huckabee firm is the firm that we've hired. We went out to qualifications from the different architecture groups. I think we had 12 different architects that have applied and sent their qualifications in. We narrowed it down to 4. The board interviewed the 4, and they chose Huckabee, and they're already in design mode now. So.
All right, so let's unpack some of this. So we're going to be changing a lot in our school system next year. One of the things is pre-K is added. It's one of the state requirements to start pre-K all day. So you're going to do pre-K through 1st grade at Arthur. 2nd through 5th on both elementary schools, just like how we're doing it now. We're just bringing down 5th and keeping 2nd down there. And then junior high will start 6th through 9th or 8th.
6th grade. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about a lot of things to unpack there. Okay. Arthur is going to be what now? The new pre-K center, new early childhood learning center, both? Like what's Arthur going to turn into?
Right now it's been named Arthur for a long time. I'm not sure, that's what we'll stay with is Arthur Early Childhood Center, but it will become the Early Childhood Center with the intentions. And let me back up for a second. The state requirement now is that we have full day pre-K for qualifying students.
What?
And so,
Okay. I'm excited.
And our goal would ultimately, hopefully, be to have enough space to where we can sit there and open that up to all of our pre-K students, not just qualifying students. And so, with that state requirement, we had to start looking at our spatial concerns. And then we also had several parents who were like, well, can our kids go? Can we pay for our kids to go? Well, it'd be great if we had space. Well, we also started looking at, our elementary campuses, well, what are our spaces? And so we started looking at a junior high, and we started looking at our high school. At the high school, we felt like we had plenty of space. At the junior high school, we had space. And then when we started looking at, can we move the 6th grade up to the junior high school and facilitate some other programs, instead of shipping our band equipment and our band instructors over to Arthur every day, can we just move our 6th grade up to where they're going to be actually in those facilities where they participate in those activities, as well as choir, having more opportunities there, having availability to do pre-athletics in 6th grade at the junior high school. So these were all some things that we started considering and looking at, and we had room at the junior high to move. We had a lot of space at Arthur, and when you start looking at the spatial considerations, early childhood grade levels, pre-K through 1st grade, require more square footage than your older classrooms. And so Arthur had that ability to sit there and meet those requirements, so we looked at just shifting things around. We also looked at the fact that we had 14 new housing developments coming into our district, so we're going to have some growth, and we can't predict how much growth. We did some studies with UTA and Owner Builders Resource to look at those spatial concerns and look at some demographics with the UTA study, but the reality is we can't really realistically know exactly how many students we're going to get. I will tell you that from those 14 developments, there's about 1,200 housing developments that are coming into play. If you do a ratio of 10% to up to 20%, that's 120 to 240 new students coming into our district over the next few years. So
And there's a couple more that you don't even know about that's on the horizon as well.
that's another aspect.
And you and I talked about that for a while. I've known that's been one of your biggest concerns was that influx of population that we're going to have to get. And just so people out there understand, there was two options before us. One was the option that we're exploring now, which is better utilize our facilities and be better stewards of that. Or two, we have property over there by Kroger. We could have built something over there as well. But obviously, for a taxpayer point of view, this is the better option.
We felt like it was, and looking at if you build a new building that was only going to accommodate really one grade level, to make it accommodate more grade levels, there's going to be more expense. And so what we could renovate buildings for was, more feasible than building new buildings when we have spatial capacity.
Sure.
If we just move things around.
So let's talk about us moving forward. January 6th, you have a meeting coming up?
That will be the meeting with the architects, with the community. So I believe that when we had our community meetings, that was one of the things that they wanted to have was just, a community meeting. So January 6th, and then we'll see if there will be another one in February, stemming off of that. Basically, it will be at the media center at 6 o'clock on January 6th. They will be going over the scope, budget, timeline, kind of a lot of the things that they'll have kind of mapped out more by that time. So
let's talk about Arthur a little bit more, since that's basically the focus of this whole thing. That's really the core of this all. It wasn't built for elementary kids, or especially that young. And the facilities are more built for bigger kids. It's 2 stories, the outside facilities, things like that. So what are the things that we're going to be doing to Arthur to make it a little bit more compliant for pre-K through first grade?
Well, as I said before, the room capacities are already, where we are, and then knocking out a few more walls in the older section of it will give us even more room. And the whole idea was to sit there and create an early childhood center that was based off of experiences. We call it experiential learning and learning through play. And I think we've moved away from that in our educational system to where we have kids just sitting at a very young age in 4 square walls, and
Sure.
they're there all day long. Giving them more space and giving them environments. And one of the things that we look at, our state, has a requirement that, that they want, our goal, I should say, that our students be on level by 3rd grade reading. Well, a lot of background knowledge is lacking with a lot of the students that we have in our society today. They just don't have the background knowledge to go along with what they're reading. And so giving them experiences to sit there and ways to explore what their knowledge basically adds to their reading levels. And so that was the concept behind creating the early childhood center and focusing on reading and math on pre-K through first grade.
I guess my question is about the facilities. We have to replace the toilets. Is there going to be a playground? And that's where my question comes in with Arthur.
And definitely, yes, there will be a need for a playground. In fact, we've got another gym, a small gym that we're looking at making an indoor play area, so having 2 play areas, an outdoor play area and then an indoor play area that's a learning environment as well, through play. And then of course toilets, we change out toilets all the time.
Sure.
We our guys are constantly changing out toilets. So at Patterson and Delaney, we'll be taking smaller toilets out there, moving them into the other building and swapping toilets.
That's actually mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
But okay, I get
but
that.
we do that already, so yeah, we're not too concerned about that. What we are looking at is, we will be touching on a few things. This is where they're going to go over the scope on January 6th more. But in the meetings, what we came up with was touching the older part of Arthur. The 2-story part, just a few cosmetic things, like you're saying, the toilets and kind of switching things out. But on the older part, really kind of opening up the space and making it more open to learning environments. So that's really where that came from. Touching on the old gym outside and making that a indoor learning environment as well. And then, as you said, the playground. So
let's talk a little bit about the early childhood development part of this thing, because I think that's what's amazing. A lot of people don't realize that there are resources in the school system even before their students eligible to go to school. For example, Alexis is doing the speech therapy with your speech therapist here, and that's paid by the taxpayer, so I just have to show up. I know that's one part of it, but what's some other benefits of having that early childhood development center for Kennedale?
The kids are together for 3 years, and they're on campus together where the focus, as I said, is going to be solely on really reading and math, so that when they come out in first grade, they're reading on level, and math they're on level, and so that they have a strong foundation when they get to second grade to build off of going into third grade, so that by when we get to third grade, we really see our students being on level where they need to be. And that's a big focus of it. The other part of it, a benefit of them being together is just the structure. Instead of being on this campus with first grade, they're together in those early formative years, and the structure that they have, and the bigger aspect of it is just going to be the experience that they get from it. So.
Okay, and so let's talk about a little bit about staff logistics for Arthur. Like you were talking about how Mr. Otik has to come down to the junior high to do the band, and he does go to Arthur before to test them sixth graders for the the choir teacher does that. I believe the art teacher does that as well. So this will kind of fix that issue.
Well, they'll all be on the same campus where those activities actually happen. So yes, that would be very beneficial in that aspect. And logistical wise, it would be great, and being able to keep all the band instruments in one place and not having to spread them out all over, and not having to, our teachers have to drive back and forth, to different campuses, and sometimes they're coming from the high school as well, so. That's going to be a big benefit there. But just having the opportunity to be exposed to some other things like choir, that they may not be exposed to in a different kind of art, So.
And as far as staff go, to continue with that, on the Arthur side, I know, you're going to have some upheaval, and you don't know which teacher is going to go where yet, but you do know where the leadership's going to come from. Who's going to be principal?
When we were hiring for Patterson this last year, we were also hiring with the intent that we pretty much knew that Mrs. Spitzer was going to be going to lead the Early Childhood Center. We hired her away from Mansfield at the, I can never say it right, Sandra Jondrick Academy, which was the pre-K center there, and very much in the mindset of what we were looking forward to do in our district, and we believe her leadership on the Early Childhood Center is going to be, one of those components that's just going to, her energy is unreal, and with those little kids and what we're trying to do with the fun and experiences and everything else, I think that's going to be a great benefit. Miss Clark will be going from Arthur back to Patterson. That's so she's excited about that, and that as far as our APs and all that, that's going to be yet to be worked out. As far as our teachers, we hope to by the end of March, 1st of April, have everything worked out. I mean, we've already told our staff that they will know what campuses they will be at before contracts come around. Obviously, sixth grade moving to junior high school, we're going to need sixth grade teachers at the junior high school.
Sure.
And so they're going to be the first group that's going to be asked, if they want to go to the junior high school or not. And then we will kind of filter that down to everywhere else.
So Carrie's amazing, by the way, and just to clarify for everybody out there that that's her background, right? Is that early childhood? That's what she did schooling for.
Of course, Spitzer.
Spitzer.
Yeah. Yes, that's where she came. Like I said, that is her
background.
That's her background.
Especially, okay, so that's a huge benefit for, especially in a district of our size.
Yes.
Okay, and so that throws the question of Patterson principal, which we've been having a hard time locking one in for more than a couple of years.
I just touched on it, and then Miss Clark.
Miss Clark,
Miss Clark will be going back as the Patterson principal.
Oh, as the principal, I missed that part. Oh, yes. Congratulations to her then. Okay, I thought she was taking a new position that she's been doing lately. No. So
she will be going. She has requested to go back to Patterson.
Wow, that's gonna be huge. That's gonna be huge for Patterson. Okay. So moving forward, we talked about January 6th. So if anybody wants to come out to that meeting, and Kennedale News will announce it on the Facebook feed. Make sure you guys understand it's there. But spring's coming, and in summer, what's the timeline? Are we going to do this in fall?
There's going to be a lot of moving in the summertime. A lot of, as we figure out which teachers are going where, and we look at our FTEs, which are full-time employees, and the need, how many staff we need on each campus, there's going to be a lot of shuffling of classrooms and moving people around. The timeline, this is one thing the architects are going to look at, but we're also at the will of construction, and delays and everything else. So, they hope to have everything done by the start of school next year, but our plan is if we do not have it ready to have at least the two-story portion, ready for kinder and pre-K to be in there, and then leaving first grade on Patterson Elementary campuses, because the idea being that if they don't get moved over all at one time, then we leave them, because the next year they're just going to transition to second grade, and then our kinder and pre-K will already be on the campus they're going to be at, and then our new pre-K will just come into the new campus. And so that's another option that we're looking at if we can't meet the timeline of getting everything done by summertime. And I will tell you, the more planning we have and the more things that go on, the longer it takes, the more that timeline looks like it may not happen.
Sure. I mean, phases. Obviously, we're going to walk with this in phases. And this is, I mean, huge for our district to really move things around. Yeah. So it could just take another year or so.
It may be where we have to do it in pieces, and so that you're exactly right. It may be transitioning, different aspects at different times. But, the sixth grade and fifth grade will definitely be moving. Kinder and pre-K will definitely be moving. Whether first grade moves or not, it's going to be kind of dependent upon the timeline, because it's just shifting things around. But there's going to be a lot of moving by our maintenance guys in the summertime, of moving classrooms. So
maybe some extra part-time help if somebody needs a job.
We actually started that this last year. We started hiring some students in the summertime for summer jobs to sit there and kind of help out with moving stuff around, and we'll continue with that this next summer as well.
What a blessing to have a small community, a small ISD.
You kind of take advantage of what you got.
Sure.
So yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell the parents out there in last minute thoughts about it?
No, I mean, we're just excited about the opportunities. There's a lot of planning still to go. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have been in continuous meetings, I think, since we've been hiring architects and moving through those meetings. And then once we sit down with them, and then we've been visiting, I will say our junior high staff, our administrators have visited another district that has already kind of transitioned through this, to kind of go through some of the logistics and the troubleshooting that they need to go through. We've already probably had 5 different meetings at the junior high just on how to transition and what we're looking at. There's also going to be some things renovations that we're going to have to do at the junior high school to accommodate some things,
Okay.
And we're looking at those planning as well. So.
All right. Well, it all sounds like a great plan. I appreciate, as a parent, that the ISD reached out to all the parents and community leaders and got input, and then you took all that information, made the best decision possible, I think, for the circumstances. So, as a parent, on behalf of a lot of parents who did pick this option of the 3 or 5, whatever we were at, I think you guys did a good job, and we hope and pray that it moves forward. But if parents still have some questions out there, how can they reach out? Who do they call?
I mean, like I said, I think we have a pretty open door concept. I mean, they can reach out to, we have Ask KISD. We also have Mandy Ravelet, our public relations coordinator. They can reach out and ask questions there, and they'll get to the right, she usually funnels them to the right departments and everything to answer their questions. So.
All right. Well, thanks, Chad. I appreciate your time and coming meet me and updating everybody. And you have that here at Kennedale. This is the plan. This is how it's going to be moving forward. If you have any questions, reach out to the ISD or reach out to Kennedale News. We'll be happy to forward your questions over to the ISD. In the meantime, on behalf of Chad and myself, Merry Christmas to you and your family. We hope it's nice and safe, and we'll see everybody in January.